All right, so we're joined all the way from Los Angeles, California, by the OutGoins, the up and coming social media stars, the great married couple there, owners of Get Goins Pest Control, Ryan and Noelle Goins. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is for our entrepreneurship class, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools: Madison Central High School, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Option Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you
you
for having us. Hello, everyone. We're super
ooh,
excited.
ooh, ooh. Arsenio Hall back in the day.
Oh yeah, they're
That's
too young
what,
to know who Arsenio.
yeah, they're too young for Arsenio. And we obviously want to hear about you guys have multiple businesses, and it's really cool all the stuff you're doing. But just give us a little background because you guys don't have the traditional entrepreneur stories, and you were featured on Steve Harvey and Ebony Magazine and Hollywood Reporter about your guys' backstories. I know Ryan, you went to the University of California, Riverside. Where you got your business degree, and Noel played Division I basketball at Old Dominion University with the Lady Monarchs. And I thought it was cool. I don't want to get too much into your acting career, but you did play a basketball player with David Spade on Rules of Engagement, which was a pretty cool role. So just give us a little background
Yeah.
about your educational background. And then you both have different paths into the pest control industry. So I'd love to hear how those have come together.
So I'll
Right.
let you go first.
Well, not to bug everybody with a long story. Education, I definitely knew that entrepreneurship was my path. There's nothing wrong with going into or choosing the path that you want, in my opinion, whether it's corporate America or whether it's entrepreneurship. But being raised in a family where my dad was an entrepreneur that had a pest control company of his own, many of his siblings, my uncles and one auntie owned pest control companies. And so that kind of was laid out for my family. I felt like I was born into pest control. But that didn't stop me from pursuing my fitness company that I had and other ventures that didn't pan out. But pest control was something that I at first didn't really want to do, but it did pay the bills. But it wasn't until I met her that a passion for this ladybug or a passion for bugs ended up, consuming me. So we met online, not to get
Yeah, on a dating
on
app.
a dating app, and it just took me to swipe one time, and I swiped right into her heart. And I'll let you take over from there a
Well,
little bit. Yeah.
see, now, if he hadn't gotten that education, he wouldn't have been smart enough to get on the dating app and meet me, okay, and change his whole life. Um, and then you said too, it made me think of how we have our daughter, baby Grace, who was born January 27th of this year, so she's still a newborn, and how she's also being born into entrepreneurship, just like you were.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's really cool. Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So my education, yes, I played basketball at Old Dominion University, go ODU, Lady Monarchs. When I played there, we were top five in the country. So UConn, that's always winning, the same teams that are always winning every year, all the girls teams that are really great. We were that. And we were so good my freshman year. We went all the way to the national championship and they made an HBO special because that was the year Tennessee, coached by Pat Summitt at the time. They had the worst school record in history, and they still won the national championship, beating us. So they made a whole special about it. But anyway, so yes, I majored in human services and counseling, but I was first a vocal performance major because my whole life I did music. I sang in church. I had a passion for writing songs. I was in girl groups. I just knew that writing music was going to be what I was going to do. And that's what made me move to California after graduation. So even though I got my degree in human services and counseling, which I enjoy helping people. And I think if you care about people at all and helping them solve problems, that's just a degree that you can take anywhere. If I wanted to get licensed in a specific area of therapy, or counseling, I could do that. But I got that as a degree because vocal performance, we only had a classical music studies program. And that wasn't really exciting. I didn't want to sing opera all the time. And I was taking Italian to sing in that language because a lot of those songs were written in Italian. So and I took piano and I did all kinds of things. So after I graduated, I moved to California to pursue music full time. And I had a great experience. And like, kind of like when you hear stories that are really crazy in the music business, the struggle struggles, being broke. I didn't know anyone in California, so being raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I went to that's our baby Grace. She'll make her debut momentarily. But I didn't know anyone in California, but my family was in Vegas, so I said, okay, I went to school for 4 years, way away from home. Why don't I now graduate but be closer to home? So if things don't work out, it's not that far away. And yeah, I pursued music. I was signed to an independent label. I had a song with Pitbull on the radio. I've worked with Neo. I've worked with Swiss Beats. I've worked with Dr. Dre. I can go down the list of people that I worked with, and songs that just never came out. But I was in the studio with these folks, and some songs did make their way into TV and film. A lot of Tyler Perry placements, some network song placements, and some shows that were really popular at the time. And so I only found my way into acting because when we had a recession back in 2008 to 2010, that was a really tough time for a lot of people looking for work. And even though I had a degree, it was hard to find work. But I said, well, everyone was like, you should try acting. And I was like, I didn't move to California for that. Yeah. And a lot of people moved to California for that and had training. And I was like, I don't know how to, anyway, so I tried it. I got an agency. They weren't known. And I got an audition to the David Spade show that you brought up, Rules of Engagement. And I booked it. And then I booked House MD, which was like the Grey's Anatomy at that time, and got a recurring. They like wrote me back in. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, but again, my mindset was I still want to have steady income. I didn't necessarily think, oh, now I'm going to be this movie star. And so I worked for a baby stroller company that was, their headquarters were in Amsterdam. And I got this role that they created for me called a senior trainer merchandiser. I got to travel, you guys, I got to travel from here to Paris to Amsterdam. My territory was North America. So I went to Canada. I went to every major city, DC, New York, Houston, Texas. I went everywhere all over the country, training stores like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Saks, Neiman Marcus, and baby boutiques how to sell the Bugaboo stroller. So that just got my travel bug, and I just saw the world, and it made me independent and fearless. So while music wasn't panning out the way that I wanted, I got to see the world through a job that was giving me income. And then eventually, I'm personalized. We want to meet somebody. And I encourage people, marriage is a good thing. No matter what you see, no matter who you know, what's been through. Even my parents didn't work out. His parents are still married over 45 years. Wow. Marriage is a good thing. Yeah. And from a spiritual perspective, I'm just saying that it's okay to be in a relationship, and it's okay to want to get married. And had I not gotten married, I wouldn't have found my way into being an entrepreneur. I mean, I was writing music, but I didn't necessarily have a business that I could scale. And I give you my background because me being an athlete, me being creative with music, me having experience acting and memorization of lines and scripts, all of that allowed me to join with him and be a partner in a business, because social media, we got to create content for our own company.
So you can see being in the right place at the right. It was a come up. It was a come up.
Absolutely.
For each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and obviously, you talk about you guys came together and you came on board with Get Goins Pest Control, and you guys are all over the Southern Cal area. I think you named 5 counties on your website you guys serve. That's a very, very large area there in the LA metro. So just talk about what you guys do. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because everybody sees the social media side. It looks like it's fun and glamorous, and obviously they're making social media content. They're a good company. Well, that only gets your foot in the door. You guys do a great job of selling yourself, selling your products. You guys, I think it's really cool. You walk through how you do the jobs. But at the end of the day, you've got to have great customer service, and you've also got to have your finances in order, because we all see the Instagram side, but we don't see the behind the scenes bookkeeping side. So just tell us a little bit about Get Goins and some of the things you guys do and how you stand out.
Yeah, so Get Goins, obviously Goins is our last name. We decided to start our own company when an aunt of mine that passed away, she no longer wanted to run her business. So she wanted to give the business to my cousin. So briefly, my cousin didn't want to be in the industry anymore. So she gave us basically the customers. And from then we had an idea to move forward and to not only honor her legacy, but begin to build something that we can sustain for ourselves. Um, our passion behind, you know, marketing and behind building the business is integrity and value, and just, taking something that we feel that, most people haven't seen in this industry.
Yeah, like Black married folk or just Black,
Yeah,
enough Black people in this field.
in this space, being
Yeah.
married, doing it together. It definitely takes hard work. Working together with any type of partnership is going to humble, each other if you want something to work, because you're not always going to have it right. Um, Fiscal responsibility is completely important. My wife is really gifted in the area of management. It's not to say that I can't. It's just we defer to one another's strengths.
Right.
I love numbers as well, but I also do the heavy lifting because it is a service-based company. But you can really make it profitable for yourself if you have passion and you have persistence on how to put systems in place for you to have sustainable growth. And so that's kind of like our angle is like, how can we take this pest control company and differentiate from others while being in the same industry? And we figure, let's use our essence of us being married, of us being happy. We create content on social media. Let's do that as well.
Yeah.
And when we started to do that and show how pest control can be fun or how it can be a good industry to get into, people that saw pest control in one aspect, they begin to say, oh, wow, that's something that I think that I can do. So we were able to open up Pandora's box and show a different side of our industry.
Yeah. And I'll say, obviously, roaches are not glamorous. Bed bugs are not glamorous. Rodents, rats, feces, like we see it all. So my family, when I said I was getting into pest control, they were like, are you okay? Like, are you sure? What's wrong? Like,
right.
No, I mean, again, I like adventure. I like that I'm not sitting in one place in the same place all day. I wanted to get licensed, go in the field with him. And I also wanted to conquer fears that I may have had about certain bugs that I just didn't know. So like being afraid of spiders, a lot of people don't like spiders. And it's like, they actually are one of the least harmless bugs, and they're really nature's pest control. They're kind of solving our problems in corners where we're not, necessarily cleaning and dusting and vacuuming. And so I conquered a lot of fears that I had about bugs. I learned a lot because I love to learn. And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then there's you're seeing people all the time. You're helping people solve their issues. If you're a problem solver, if you like to figure out how to get to the bottom of something, pest control is fun. Can it be gross? Yeah, but I'd rather know how to solve an issue with a pest than not know. Because if it shows up in my house, I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Or overusing Raid and products that you can get at the store that you think are working and they're not. It's actually more dangerous for you to buy cans and cans of Raid and spraying it everywhere than calling a professional like us, where we're licensed. We had to get a license.
Yeah.
Anyone just can't get the products that we use. Mm-hmm. And also I wanted to speak to owning our own business. The big companies like Terminix and Orkin that are everywhere. And I'm sure in your territory, you have some local companies that are known. We can do what we want to do because it's our company.
Yeah.
So we can decide, hey, let's shoot this content. Let's make this jingle about we ain't killing bugs today. We ain't killing bugs today. No, we need to do that. Like if I work at Terminix, no shade to Terminix. We have friends that work for Terminix. But they just can't always do what they want to do without the higher up saying, hey, we're not allowed to do that. That's not our brand. We get to do that and make it fun and show that it's lucrative. This house that we are in came from pest control.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's safe to say that.
Awesome.
It's safe to say that her love for her husband and for pest control made her smitten and bitten.
Not smitten and bitten. Oh boy.
Now, and you mentioned this, people think that pest control, is a dirty, gross business, but literally people's livelihoods and people's homes are at stake here. You obviously have to be licensed, and you guys do it. I think it's so cool the way you walk through, the way you, I like the one with the water heater and the rodents about how they're getting into the house. You may not realize it. But not only the networking aspect, but the communication aspect is key here because obviously you have to be good at performing the service, but you've got to explain to not only the 90-year-old grandma, but also the 21-year-old that may be in a place. So
Yeah.
you've got to be able to communicate with everybody. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know they get be talking about this because I have them do presentations, and it's not to be mean, but if you're ever going to be successful in business, you've got to be able to talk with any type of customer. And now in Southern
Exactly.
California, even more so than anywhere else because of all the melting pot of cultures that are in your area. So,
Oh, yeah.
how important is it to be able to learn to talk and be able to learn to sell and be able to communicate?
It's
Mm.
extremely important because communication could be misinterpreted if
Mhm.
it's not conveyed well.
Right.
And just because you don't convey or speak well about what it is you're offering, selling, doesn't mean that you won't get better and better. I wasn't the best communicator coming up, and a lot of that, was due to maybe fears of what people would say or, insecurities. But like to your point, the more that you do it, the more that you speak to people, you'll get better and better. So a big encouragement is you don't have to be the best speaker, but as long as you're willing to continue to try it, then you will find your authentic voice. And then that right there is where people will resonate with you the most. And that will, in my opinion, make you very successful in anything that you do.
Yeah. And I'll add to that being a woman and being a woman, Black woman, showing up to people's houses, they're looking at like, why are you here? Because he's here. Like I'm his wife and I'm tagging along, or
Yeah.
I'm checking up on him, like I can't be without him. It just I get it. It's not, you don't normally see people that look like me showing up to deal with, disgusting bugs or
I've only met
rodents.
one
But
my entire life. I've only met one black pest control person my entire life.
really,
So yeah, you are correct.
and
Wow.
so, I think it's important that more of us are represented in a field like this, because guess what? During the pandemic, this industry thrived and we didn't even have a company yet.
Right.
Companies became multimillionaires in a short duration of time because bugs aren't ever going anywhere.
Right.
Or should I say Goins anywhere, like our last name? Like they're just not there. It's an essential business. So if we're ever on lockdown ever again, this business will continue to thrive because pests are just not, if anything, all of the pressure has increased. And I just think it's important that we're represented in this industry, and we actually were well received. I mean, we joined, there's associations for our industry, the National Pest Management Association, that's nationwide.
Yeah.
In every state, your state has a local association where pest control companies can be members of. And it's a community. We're not all competitors when we're in that space. We're actually helping each other and sharing information. And people were really happy to have us there. They were like, look at these young Black folks in a predominantly male, Caucasian field. And they welcomed us to the association. And we're also members of Black Ownership Matters, which is another organization for any person who is Black, and you can be any color to be any race, ethnicity to be in the Association for Black Ownership Matters. But the point of it is to support Black folks in the pest control industry on any level, whether you own it, work for somebody, it doesn't matter.
Can I
That's
speak
awesome.
to that point? It's about a race and ethnicity, just really fast. In that, one of the things that I told my colleagues is think of yourself as not a Black person that owns a pest control company.
Right.
Think of yourself as a pest control owner that is Black. Because
you happen to be Black.
Yeah, happen to be Black, because a lot of times, sometimes people, unfortunately, if they were raised in a biased manner, will see your actions and then you can win them over to,
Absolutely.
erasing the color line, as opposed to trying to get to a place saying, by just saying with leading with, oh, I'm Black, now I gotta fight to get here. No, it's
right.
No, I'm a professional, I'm here. But guess what? My Blackness only puts it out there that anybody can do this and be successful. And I think that that's a better way to approach it.
That. Yeah.
Now, one thing, obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't add, you guys have added another source of income. The OutGoins.com, you guys are now doing event hosting, wedding hosting. So just talk about how you got into that because obviously you made a name for yourself in the pest control industry, and that has led to something else now where you're running another business that is completely unrelated.
Okay, so that's a good point. Even though we're inside, we're the outgoings. Actually, we started with the outgoings
First.
first
Yeah.
Oh,
of
cool.
content creation. Yeah,
Yeah.
which we were able to have a contract with a company that allotted us a payment over the year to invest in our pest control
Yeah, what was
company.
it? It was called
It was Triller.
but it was the Black Creators program. It was a program that they did specifically for Black content creators.
ABC, right?
Something like
There's
that.
something like that, but it was for Black creators to get shine where we hadn't gotten shine before. And what we did was we took the money that we earned and we didn't just spend it. We actually invested it in this company. It helped us get our truck, helped us get
Yeah.
everything that we needed. So we took that initial
Yeah.
investment, poured it into our business. I drove Uber on the side. She had her
It was helping.
recurring checks coming in from
Yeah.
work. So we just went all in on investing in this, and it paid dividends and has been paying dividends. This led to our foundation, which I think we'll speak about in a second, but that led to our foundation, which is our nonprofit, and it also led to some other sources of content creation
Yeah.
within our industry.
I was gonna say when we had the outgoings, our intention, we love hosting. A friend of ours had asked us to host her kind of like her bridal. It was like her
So what wedding
or was it it was like a
the
birthday. Yep, yep. So we emceed some stuff. We said, oh, we should do this more, not knowing that we would get a creator contract to get, income for a year to invest in our business. And then in that contract, we got to make content for Walmart.
Yeah.
We got to make content for Hallmark for
Wow.
their greeting cards, their mahogany cards.
Mhm.
And then also Versus, when Versus was really popping
During the COVID.
during COVID, we would watch these, famous artists that have been around forever, like battle back and forth, and we would create content for Versus, and a lot of our content went super viral that way. So the outgoings paved the way to investing Goins, and then Get Goins birthed a nonprofit to help people
And
who
then
can't
brought
afford
it
pest
full
control.
and
Yeah.
then brought it full circle back to content creation.
Right.
We have vendor deals that we do
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did one for Angie's
Oh yeah,
List.
Angie's List, which is now Angie's, where you can find, your local person to come to your house and fix things or
Yeah.
whatever. But they reached out to do content. We got paid for that. A manufacturer that we
Wow.
work with called Nicest, we do content for them. So
Okay.
that's the thing. Like you can take your brand, and it doesn't just have to be in this one little space of we just do pest control and that's it. No, now those businesses that we're buying from are like, no, we need you to help us market our products.
Right.
We like y'all. And then you get to get more income that way.
Now, obviously, you did mention the foundation. I do want to hear about the nonprofit because we have a couple students that are interested in starting nonprofits. So just talk about how all the things you've done with that and how it's just done a great work there in the Southern California community.
It started with passion to help people. So even in our pest control company, before we had the nonprofit, there was a client that was dealing with a severe bedbug infestation over 5 years. And our client, that is the landlord of said client, was really frustrated. And she needed us to step in, and we stepped in a project management style format. And we had empathy, right? We actually cared about really getting the lady who was 80 years old to get bed bugs. She was getting bitten for like over 5 years. Long story short, that project turned into everyone not only being happy, but it felt so good to give back in the capacity that we were able to, that we said, we have to pay this forward. And then she said right after that, we got to keep it going. And then boom,
Keep the love going.
That's where
Wow.
the pun came, the name came, to keep it going. So what we did was we pursued that, and with every business model, you have to have a logo, right? You have to be seen by the world in a certain capacity. So we started that whole process, which we've done before in our other businesses. And then we got our 501(c)(3) to go nationwide.
Oh,
Right. Having a baby while being entrepreneurs is a whole nother conversation. But we were able to, it took about a year to get our nonprofit off the ground. And then it took another, I would say, 6 months for us to receive our first beneficiary. And we helped them, filmed it, and then we got the next one, helped them, filmed it, and then got the next
wow.
one, helped them, filmed it, so on and so forth. And we're
Yeah.
able to allocate people donations because people were able to see where their money was going. They were able to see the people getting help. And a nonprofit organization can be a total business model that anyone can take on that is passion focused. So if I would say yes, dive all the way in if you want to start a nonprofit, because you never know what person's going to be helped because you decided to do that.
Yeah, if definitely registering it as a 501(c)(3), because just like there's the American Red Cross as a nonprofit, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, we want to be that big when it comes to pest control, because
Wow.
there's so many companies that offer pro bono services, but you don't know about it. You just think, oh, my pest control guy came, they sprayed this morning, I don't know what they did, but hey, I don't see ants, so that's great. But when we come across somebody that just dealing with severe infestations, and it's like they can't afford it, and companies, we don't want to tell people no, but the product is expensive, the time, so we just said, nah, we gotta take this a step further. So I would encourage anyone to start a nonprofit, even if you already know there's other nonprofits like yours, it doesn't matter, because you can also work with other nonprofits, you can collaborate and work together.
Yes.
So if you see a need for something, do it. Because again, like he said, from a business perspective, it's a nonprofit, so it's not for profit, but you need donations, you need grants.
Yeah.
We have to hire people for nonprofits. So you can have a job in a nonprofit that is paying, and you're supplying more jobs because of it.
Yeah.
So it's
while
man, start it.
sustaining yourself.
Yeah, start it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I do have some questions from the students, and what you just talked about is a good setup for this first question. This is to Davian Smith. And I have all 10th grade guys in here with me today, so it's all young men.
All
This is to
right.
Davian Smith. He's in 10th grade. He's a member of our band, and he asked, "How hard is it to get your business out there and make it part of people's everyday thoughts?"
So that's a loaded
Good question.
That's a good question, loaded question. I think hard, I think equates to passion again and processes. So yeah, in initial, it's hard if you have all the raw materials, right? So it's like if I'm going to bake a cake and I have eggs and I have milk and I have flour and I have all the raw materials laying down there, and I have to get from point A to the finished product of this delicious cake. Sometimes looking at all the raw materials or what you have or what you know you need to have to start a business, that could be hard. But when you start to gain information and education and you start to get knowledge, then it takes the hard level and it makes it not as hard. It brings it down a little bit because now you know where you could start. Now you know where you can, what's the best course of action to get to the final product, right? So I would say that hard is only a moment, but if you do research and you have the right education on the product or service that you're offering, so you have product or service knowledge, you do your research. Research is, how much does this product cost at the market rate? What demographic of customers, demographic meaning age, gender, are they married? Are they not married? What customer is looking for your product? Then as you start to get all of this information and knowledge, then it goes from being really hard to seamless. And then once you get all of that information, then you get your system in place. Like they say, you add your sauce to it. Then it's something that can be systematic, and you've now built a business that can sustain itself. So
yeah,
hard. There's levels to that.
Yeah, I would say, anything that first of all, if you feel there's purpose in it. I think it's harder if you don't feel convicted by a business that you want to start.
Right.
For us, like you said, we got clients from an aunt that was unfortunately dying at the time. She didn't have a lot of clients. She didn't even have the right equipment to service. And the clients were all in their 80s and paying like below market. So we actually, the first year, weren't making a profit because we honored the prices and grandfathered them in that they were paying.
Right.
And then, they were still writing checks. So we're waiting for checks in the mail. Then we're getting checks in the mail and they're not written to us correctly. So then we can't cash them. And it's just, so, that was hard.
Right.
But when it's yours, that's the fun part. You're in control of your business. So it's going to manifest based on what you do.
Right.
So if I am stuck and I'm not, if I'm not networking is a part of it. Like we got involved in groups that were complementary to the target customer we were trying to have. Again, social media, there's marketing, right? Marketing is Google ads and Yelp and all these things. We don't do any of that. And and you should, if you have the money, there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, because we owned it, we were able to leverage social media and get creative with that.
Right.
And if social media is not your thing, yeah, you can hire somebody to help you with that, or you can hire someone to run ads on Google and Yelp and Facebook or whatever it is that you Instagram, TikTok. I mean, you can pay influencers to promote your business. So I would say the hardest part is just not getting started, and researching is everything. The more you research, ask questions, reach out to people, you'd be surprised. There's more people that actually want to help you than assuming that no one wants to help you and no one wants to give you information. There actually are more people that do want to help younger people come up into entrepreneurship.
Big time. This is funny. This is Cameron Sutton, and he asked, "What's the craziest thing you've ever seen when you were on a job to clean Pest?"
Well, I'll say that I never saw a bed bug. I always thought, don't let the bed bugs bite. I didn't know it was a real bug. And I would say definitely seeing thousands and thousands of bed bugs and their shells, all stages, crawling around in the broad daylight, seeing two bed bugs mate in broad daylight, seeing a person say that they're not really dealing with bed bugs while they're crawling on them, on their neck and on their head, and being like, oh, I don't have a bed bug problem. And even seeing a bed bug crawling on me from inspecting and being like, oh my gosh, iridescent. It was clear, because before a bed bug gets to be like brown, if you Google them, when they're babies, they haven't eaten yet. So they're like iridescent, they're clear. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's one of the craziest things, was learning how bed bugs really get down.
That's a loaded question for pest control.
I know.
We didn't see some crazy stuff.
I know.
I would say just in my very beginning stages of pest control years ago, going to service an apartment and it was vacant. And what I learned really quickly about German roaches is when they infest any structure, that you have to kind of look before you enter. So I opened the door. I just walked right in, and 100 roaches fell on my neck. And I was like, oh my God. And so I took off my shirt, my hat, and I was like twirling it around in the air. And this lady was looking up like, dude, what's going on up there? And I'm up there and I'm supposed to be the professional. That probably was a sticker shock. It looked like the wall was brown and it was moving like the waves. Craziest thing that I've seen pest control. So
yeah,
it's a job.
It's
roaches.
Wow. This is Jordan Job. He asked, what's the hardest thing you've had to learn when it comes to jobs to do on the site?
On the site?
Yep.
The hardest thing that we had to learn. So pest control also has different licensing structure. So it's like we have to deal with inspections. And one of the hardest things that we had to learn that we know now was, if you don't identify the bug or you don't identify the issue correctly, then you can really get into a heap of trouble from a legal perspective because you're doing one thing, and if something messes up, then that could happen to you in a negative way. So the hardest thing was, you know, having to we had to learn how to over communicate and document
Right.
thoroughly everything we see, everything we find.
Take
We take
pictures.
pictures because of a customer that we had that wasn't satisfied and tried to, go a legal route.
Yeah, that's the hardest part is sometimes just the miscommunication that can happen with someone who, like a client, you may have a customer that's just not a good listener, or is not reading your invoices, not paying attention to all the work
Yeah.
that you're doing, and then it comes back and you gotta deal with that.
And it is hard. I mean, it may seem like it's not, but at the end of the day, you're in business to provide a service or product to somebody that you want to buy so you can profit. So you
Right.
have to deal with the customer. And sometimes customers
Yeah.
can really make it hard until you get your systems in place.
Big time.
Yeah.
I got time for two
That was the
more.
hardest job. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. I got time for two more. This is Herbert Carmichael, and he asked, "Did you ever think when you were kids that you'd be doing something like this?"
Heck no.
And
I was gonna be singing and on tour and having Grammys and this and that, and which could still happen, but no, I did not see myself ever being in pest control. Absolutely not. But I will say this: if I would have known how fun it was, how lucrative it can be, how amazing the community and the industry is, and the friendships we've made and the people we've met, and just all that's come of it, I would have did it way sooner. Like I would have did it way sooner if I knew what I knew about pest control and having a baby. Look, no, I didn't think I'd have a baby doing what I'm doing. No. And this is Grace, by the way, baby Grace Goins. Go ahead.
No, just to your point, I didn't think we'd be making bug wraps, right? I think I'm gonna make a bug flow like what you got.
Oh, you want to flow? You want to talk about bugs? I don't like bed bugs and they grow 9 stages. Oh, I don't want to read them on nobody's pages. Did you know a bed bug can get caught in a book? Oh, that's a real crook. But I'm gonna teach her everything so she knows how to not let bed bugs sing in her bed at night. No way, this is my baby, and that's my hubby, and we're so glad to talk to you today, A.
Hey, no, we didn't know we would do that. So no.
Yeah, he does that to me all the time.
But she got bars.
And you got the beatboxing skills. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Love it.
The question you have, was that the answer?
That was my answer. No, I didn't think we'd be making bug wraps.
No.
I got one more. This is Tyler Myers. He's one of our football players here, and he asked, "What is the biggest challenge you guys have had to face as Black business owners?"
Wow, that's an amazing question.
I would say, you don't want to believe that somebody is treating you a certain way because you're Black. So I would say, thankfully, our industry has been supportive. And I think they've been quite mesmerized by what we're able to do. Like, for us to be Black pest control owners, again, this is an industry that I'm sure none of you ever thought about being in, ever. And you go to these national conventions and these big events and galas for our industry, and people are like, "Hey, you're the Goins. Oh, wow. Come over. Can we take a picture?" And you're like, okay, like, to be loved in that is not what we expected. I'd say the hardest part about being a Black business is just consumer facing. If you're being treated a certain way and you're like, I don't want to believe it's because of that.
Yeah.
But that's really it. I mean, where we live, again, California, it's a lot of different kinds of people. And I just think that because we know our stuff, like, we know what we're doing. We provide 5-star service, white glove service, meaning I want you to feel like you were just like this, relaxing while I was solving your problem, no matter how much money you make, even if you live in a small little house or a mansion, I'm treating you the same way. And I think if you have that mindset, being Black, even if they're treating you differently because they might be racist, they're gonna respect the word, no matter what. Even if they don't tell you to your face, because somebody of a different race is going to come through and not do the excellent work that you did.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the work.
Yeah.
I don't got to prove myself because I'm Black. The proof is in the work that I give you.
And I would say that just expand or to add to that is the internal battle. I mean, obviously, if you internally are right with yourself and you know who you are, because the people in the world are going to be people in the world, right? But if you know who you are and you get to a point where you get over the hurdle of being set on who you are and what you want to do, then you'll be unstoppable. So I think the biggest hurdle
can be ourselves.
Can be ourselves. And then that's I would say is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you guys so much for taking some time for us. But a couple things before we go. First of all, the outgoings.com is you guys' website. All your social media stuff is on there. Great pictures, great press releases, also great follows on social media. So make sure I'm getting all your places where everybody can follow you.
Oh yeah, anything the outgoings.com and at the outgoings on all platforms. GetGoingsPestControl.com, GetGoins on all platforms, KeepItGoings.org, at KeepItGoings on all platforms. We're on LinkedIn, like we're everywhere, YouTube, all of the above.
Yeah, if you can't miss the goings, because if you goings places, you're gonna see the goings.
Yeah.
Right. If you go live, you're gonna see the goings.
And
I love it.
And we have a business that's coming out for this little one. We believe in starting generational wealth. We're the first ones to really start it for our family. And so we're already starting a business for her. And she has her little Instagram page, Grace Nicole Goins, at Grace Nicole Goins. But she has a business coming for her too, because we really want to make sure like anything that we were not able to have, or our parents did the best they could, and we want to make sure she don't struggle.
Absolutely. Well, the last thing before we go, and it's like I mentioned, I have all young men in here with me today, which I just think is just so important. And Ryan, such a great example of a great dad and a great leader, great husband. So I have all 16, 17-year-old, 15, 16, 17-year-old guys in here with me today. And I know they think I say this too much, but it's a conversation that we can never have enough. Is why is it so important that we have more successful Black men in our communities?
It's vital, again, like I say before, it's unfortunate that most people have their perspective on being successful and being Black. We're not out to prove that, but we're out to live the life that God has purposed us to live. And if you do that, then the color of your skin will resonate because of the content of your character, right? I think it's vitally important for especially Black people in this country, because of what has happened with Black people in this country, to show that, hey, we are intelligent, we're wise, we're loving, and that we shouldn't be viewed at just because of the color of our skin in any different light. So I would say one of my best advices to all you young gentlemen is to forgive yourself often when you mess up. Don't beat yourself up. Right. Life is going to go on. And when you do that, you give yourself the ability to not only forgive others, but you give yourself the essence of living life the way that it should be, because you're no longer being too hard on yourself. So now you can be easier on someone else and actually show them the way. You don't have to fight to make it. You've already made it by being born. From that perspective, go and win and shine, because I want to meet some of y'all one day,
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, again, we thank you guys so much for joining us. Just all the amazing work you're doing out there. Hoping to see Noelle on TV soon. Can't wait to see the new videos. But again, the owners of Get Goins Pest Control, the outgoings.com, Rian and Noelle Goins, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Thank you guys so much for joining. Oh, and I can't forget baby Grace as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us. We wish you all the best, and we hope to hear from you guys. Comment. Thank you.
See you soon.
See ya.